Hey guys, my name is Carrie. My family and I live in China. We've got 5 kids. Here we are on a beach in Thailand. And Leanne had mentioned that you guys were talking about adoption this weekend. So she wanted me to take a few minutes to share just a little bit about our adoption process and the way that the Lord kind of blew up our world with adoption. Here is our daughter's referral picture. We started the process about 5 years ago. She was dropped off at an orphanage in Ethiopia when she was around 6 months old. We don't know much about her story. And the picture that you just saw there was the first picture that we ever received of her. And I will say I spent entirely too much time looking at that picture because it was the only thing that we had of her. So I would spend a lot of time praying over that picture, looking at that picture and trying to kind of study her and thinking through maybe what her story had been and the tragedies that she had been through, or the situations that her little eyes had seen, the suffering that her family had been through to bring them to a place where they had to drop their daughter off, their own flesh and blood off at an orphanage. As I was processing these realities, I realized that she was sitting in an orphanage in Ethiopia, utterly clueless who we were, why we were doing what we were doing, that there were even people who wanted to be her parents one day. She just simply waited. And among the hundreds of things that I feel like the Lord taught us through this adoption process is this idea that God, our Father, if we have committed to be His children, that God our Father is fighting for us. He is fighting for our good. He is fighting for our hearts. He is fighting for our loyalties. And not for our sake, but because He is a loving Father, and He is a Father who gathers His children. And when I look at this picture, and I look back at some of these pictures, and these are all early ones that we got of her, and there's a vacancy, I feel like, that I would see in her eyes. When you don't have a family, there's this idea of not really knowing where your security is going to come from, not really being able to trust the next person that picks you up because that person might leave the next day. So there's a real sense of upheaval, and little did she know, like I said before, that she had loving parents who are going to come in and make her their daughter. And I think that oftentimes that we can treat the Lord in a way that we kind of deny our being a part of His family. Maybe we're frustrated with Him. Maybe we're honestly just kind of caught up in our own world and we're thinking so much about ourselves or about our situation, or maybe we've just got a lot of junk that's happening in our lives. And so we just really don't want to deal with the Lord. But through this process, I began to understand that, the amount of paperwork that we did, we had to call Georgia at 2 in the morning because of the time difference. The fingerprints that we had to stand in line for and the visas that we had to apply for, it was just kind of endless preparation. But we would have leapt over the moon to bring our child home. And God does that exact same thing for His children. We don't have a father who's going to betray us. We don't have a father who's going to say, you know what, that kid is too much work. Or that kid has screwed up too many times. I'm done. We don't have a father that works that way. And I saw that in the adoption process as I realized that my heart, I would cry over my daughter, whom I had never met before we had picked her up. And I know that the Lord, He hurts and He is jealous for our time, and He hurts when we hurt. And when He sees us, kind of arms folded and back up against the wall in kind of a stubborn position, that He longs for us to come and to remember that we're His daughters, and that with that comes hope and comes loyalty and comes being a part of this bigger, grander family than what we have on earth. And so anyway, here's our daughter now, and she's 5.5. And that, like I said, is just one of the hundreds of things I feel like the Lord taught us through that. So when you see that word adoption in Scripture, don't just kind of go, oh, yeah, yeah, we all get to be a part of this family. There are complexities to that. And there is a goodness to the Father that is involved in adoption. And it has nothing to do with how good we are and how we can earn our affection from Him. It doesn't matter the tragedies that we've been through or the sin that we've struggled with. Is that the Lord is preparing a place for us. And He is preparing a way for us to remain faithful daughters. And that's a beautiful story. So, anyway, you guys have a great weekend. And yeah, take care. Thanks.